Hello? Hello? Hello, Amita Jaju madam. Hello? Amita
Hello,
madam.
Akshita.
Am I audible, madam?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible clearly.
Amita madam, can you start the session?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, okay. Shall we start, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
You.
Yeah, audible and visible also, right?
Yes.
Okay. A very good afternoon to everyone present here. On behalf of Dr. D.Y.Patil Pratishthan's D.Y.Patil College of Engineering, Akudi, Pune, and Saint Vincent Pallotti College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur, Mrs. Amita Jaju, Assistant Professor from Department of Information Technology, take this privilege to welcome you all to this 3 days online workshop on artificial intelligence and data science challenges and applications. Hands-on learning allows students to directly observe and understand what is happening. It directly involves the learner by actively encouraging them to do something in order to learn about it. Taking this into consideration, we have organized hands-on session on all 3 days of this workshop, where students can gain valuable knowledge and skills by doing instead of just watching. To conduct hands-on training on data science and machine learning using Python, we have eminent personality Akshita Chanchalani amidst us. She is technical trainer at Sunbeam Infotech Private Limited. She has worked with VJTI Mumbai, Vivekanand Institute Mumbai, Siagat Institute Pune as assistant professor. She is having more than 10 years of experience. She is pursuing PhD. She has published 2 patents and 1 book. She has received many awards in her academics. She has conducted many workshops on Python programming, Java, C and C++. She has also done many projects in the field of machine learning and deep learning. I wholeheartedly welcome you, madam. I am pleased to welcome Principal Dr. Vijay M. Vadai, DYPCE Pune, Principal Dr. Surendra Gole, SVP Nagpur, Head of Departments, faculty members of both the colleges, dear students and attentive audience. I am eager to learn and I think everyone is eager to learn from Akshita Chanchalani madam. So without further ado, let's begin with the session. But before starting with the session, there are few instructions for students. For the smooth conduct of session, students are instructed to keep themselves on mute and
जेवली नाही
their videos off. If
जेवली
you if you have any query, drop it into the chat box. If these instructions are not followed, you will be removed by admin. Enjoy learning. Over to you, Akshata madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Amita, ma'am. Uh, shall we start with the session and should I start sharing the screen? Yeah. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Akshita. First of all, I would like to thank you for all organizing and inviting me for the hands-on session in Python. I'm really excited today to talk to you in Python for data science. Thank you all the participants for taking this your time to attend this session and hope you will get something out of it. Right? So in these 3 days of workshop, what actually we are going to see, let me just give you the overview part. First day, I will just give you the introduction and some of the data structures which are most important with respect to, you can say, required for the data science libraries. On the day one, I will also explain what are the different, you can say, libraries required by the data science or to be a data science, or if I want to go ahead with machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, and so on. So today I will introduce all the libraries, what are these, and in next 2 days, we will probably try to finish 2 or 3 different libraries, right? I hope you all are able to hear me, and I hope you all have just installed at least one IDE, that is Jupyter, or you can say something called as PyCharm, right? Let me just see the chat box if you are all are able to hear me. Uh, Okay, so am I audible to you all? So that just a put thumbs up in the chat box so that we can go ahead.
Yes, madam, audible.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, let us start with today's session. So, if we talk about these 3 days, what you will gain from these, you will be understanding what exactly a Python language is, how the Python is used for data science, and you may learn some various skills like manipulation, some modular programming, some working with data, maybe some CSV file, how to get the data from CSV file, how to get data from text files, using some third-party libraries. For example, there are NumPy, there is Pandas, there is Matplotlib, SciPy, and so on. All these are basically some predefined third-party libraries. Now, the goal of this particular workshop is to get the participants up and running with the Python. And you will basically learn how to start up when you are working with in the language of Python for the data science. So for the participants will learn basics of writing and running the Python scripts. So this is what is basically the objective behind it, or behind this workshop. So today I will be conducting what is data science, the workflow of data science, why we are focusing on Python. There are a number of languages, like you have R language, you have Java language, you have Python language, you have Go language. But why we are going for Python, I will give you the answer for that. Then we will see something called as how to install Python. I'll not show the actual installation process of Python. I'll just show you the links for the Python. So that is what is, I will mention those, and how to install different packages. And for that, you have one Python friend, that is PIP, which is a package installer for any package installing. Then you have something called as Python libraries for the data science. Then what is actually a help utility? Some Python basics like how to declare variables, how to declare, you can say, strings, and how to go ahead with functions, classes, objects, some basics concepts, right? And we will see some different Python data structure. That means what is list, what is tuple, what is dictionaries, and maybe something called as set. But why I'm covering this on first day called as data structures, or sometimes they are also called as some containers. The reason is whenever we are working with data, how to process, for that we have something called as lists, tuples, and dictionaries. These are some predefined, you can say, elements or Python elements which are used for, you can say, storing of data, which we are trying to fetch it. So this is what is the agenda for today. So when I'm talking about data science, you all must have heard what exactly a data science, or what it is generally a broad field which spans maybe something called as collection of data, management of data, analysis of data, interpretation, prediction, large amount of data with a very wide area of application areas. Now, when I'm talking about data science, we have three things. One is AI, then is ML, then is DL, that is deep learning. But when I'm saying all these are nothing but some subsets of data science. And when we talk about artificial intelligence, they describes machines that performs basically taking some decisions, or they resembles the human actions, and that is artificial intelligence. That comes at the top because that is a more generalized terminology that we can say, AI, right? And when I'm coming next to the subset, that is nothing but machine learning. And when we are talking about machine learning, it is basically used for conversion of data and basically trying to learn something from data, trying to fetch some features from the data. And it is basically used when I want to take certain specific decisions. So decisions are based on whatever we have taught to our algorithm. So generally machine learning and deep learning, they work hand in hand. Only the difference is when we talk about deep learning, it has its own algorithms. But here, the feature engineering part is done by your machine automatically. And that is called as a deep learning. And when we talk about deep learning, we have n number of algorithms like artificial neural network, you have convolution neural network, you have UNet architecture, and so many, you can say different algorithms are there in deep learning. So when we talk about data science, it consists of major three blocks, which are, you can say, three different subsets, AI, ML, DL, and so on. So this we can say, these all comes under one shelter called as data science. So when I'm saying extracting knowledge or insights from the data, then we can say that is a data science. Or when we talk about data science, you need something called as some knowledge about mathematics, statistics, and visualization. So in today's session, or you can say visualization ka, we will see one library called as Matplotlib. When we talk about something called as knowledge about mathematics and statistics, because when we talk about data science, we need little bit knowledge about these. The reason is your AI machine learning models, they need some kind of statistics knowledge. So it includes maybe statistics, machine learning, maybe deep learning, data, big data, and many more. So this is all about data science, right? Now, when you want to learn data science, what actually I need? I need, first of all, some good knowledge of statistics, mathematics, and machine learning. Because without machine learning, you will not be able to be a data scientist. Maybe on day 3, I will show you that what exactly a data science means. What are the different categories when you go for data science? There is a data scientist, there is a data analyst, there are 3 to 4 different categories. And what are the, you can say, which is the, what is the suitable job when you go for data scientist, or what are the different, you can say, possible roles that you go ahead with data scientist or the data analyst for the job or for the being a data scientist. So that I will show you the slide on the day 3. Then when I'm saying I want to be a data science, so for that we have to learn something. And that learning ke liye we have some step. Step 1 says get good at stats, mathematics, and machine learning. Second, learn to code. So you need little bit coding. No doubt, Python is little easier language than all. You might have heard about something called as C programming, C++. You might have heard about Java, Go language, everything. But when I'm talking about Python, it is so easy, right?
अभी हो गया मेरा डाउनलोड वो मेरा प्रॉब्लम हो गया था ऐप में
I request everyone make yourself on mute so that to avoid the disturbance during the session. Please follow the protocols, right? Good. So explore the data science workflow. When we talk about data science workflow, it means I want to discover, I want to structure, clean the data, enriching, validating, publishing. Means when I'm talking about data science, I'm talking about machine learning, AI, deep learning, they need a big data. And when we talk about big data, so we may receive a data maybe in a structured format or in unstructured format. So we need to perform some processes onto the data so that our machine can understand that features. Our machine can understand that data. And that is called as, these are the different, you can say, data processing steps that we go ahead. But there are two major jargons comes into it. That is data mining and data munging. When we talk about data mining, we are trying to find some specific patterns in the data set. So you are trying to search something which is which you have already available in a big data, maybe stored in some database, SQL and something, and you are trying to find some patterns. So when I'm saying specific patterns, I'm talking about data mining. And when we talk about data munging, it involves something called as cleaning process, transformation, and integration, which gives me some insight maybe some kind of prediction, maybe some kind of analysis. So some meaningful insight if I'm getting, that is called as data munging. And when I'm saying step 5, I have to level up with big data, because your machine learning algorithms, deep learning algorithms, they need huge amount of data to process. Why? Because when we are developing our machine learning algorithms, the more data you have, the more your machine will learn, and the more you can say the output will be. That means the accuracy level of your algorithm will automatically get increased if you have a large amount of data. And that's why we always say the level up with your big data. And once you become a data scientist, you have to grow and you have to connect and you have to learn more and more, because every day there are new libraries coming, new packages which are coming for implementing, automated packages are coming. So for implementing those algorithms, we need to learn a lot. So this is a continuous process that we have to do. So this is like when you want to learn a data science, so you can go ahead with this. So so the question is, if I'm saying collection, exploration, munging, modeling, validation, reporting, this is generalized data science workflow. I need to collect some data. I need to maybe process it. I need to clean integration, and I need to develop some model and using the machine learning algorithm. Once that model is generated, what is actually a model when we talk about machine learning? It is nothing but a something, you can say something which is already trained by the user's databases. So when we try to write some algorithms and they generate automatically what is the output of your machine learning algorithm, that is one model, and that is treated as an intermediate activity where your machine will try to generate a model, and on that model you will have to predict, you will have to analyze what exactly you can say that is modeling. So for example, if you go I have bought, and that particular application will give you some kind of recommendation. Do you need headsets, or do you need something called as mobile covers? The people who have got this mobile, they also have ordered this particular type of cover. They bought something like this. So this is called as a recommendation system. How it is possible? It is only possible because they have internally implemented some machine learning algorithms and rest, and then we need to validate, because every time when I'm writing any machine learning algorithm, when I'm working with ML, in that case, I need to validate whether my machine is working fine, whether my output, the algorithm that I have written, whether it is giving me a proper validated data. And finally, we try to generate the reports. Reports are for documentation purpose. Or maybe if someone wants to see, what actually the output is, how the graph is going, whether it is how the data is getting generated, and so on and so forth. So I need something called as reporting. But if you can see, I have written something called as collection, and here I have written something called as NumPy and pandas. When I'm saying exploration, I have written bokeh and matplotlib. When I'm written munging, it means pandas and something called as matplotlib again. Modeling, we need something called as sklearn, called as skitlearn. So these all are the different libraries which are already available in your Python language. And it becomes very easy when you have something ready-made. It reduces the developer's effort. The developers can directly use built-in functions, and developers can go ahead with this. And that is the reason we are going ahead in data science for the Python. The first reason, it is a general purpose language. And when we talk about Python, can you so just a second, let me see. Yeah, so I can see there are 183 participants, and I can let's make it this session interactive by putting some answers. Can you please tell me, Python is interpreted or the compile time language? You can post the chat message into the chat box. Do not unmute yourself. If possible, you can post the answers, right? Generally, your Python is compiled as well as interpreted language. When we talk about compiled and interpreted, it means your Python language is first compiled, there is something called as bytecode which is generated. And when we talk about bytecode, it is nothing but machine code which is generated by your Python interpreter. And inside when you install Python, then you have something called as Python virtual machine, right? Just the way you have Java virtual machine, similarly you have Python virtual machine, which makes your Python language to execute on multiple number of platforms. So that's why we call it this as a general purpose language, because we can have multiple number of platforms via which we can just try to shift my programming language or the programs which are written in your Python, maybe in different platforms. I do not have to do much configuration if I'm moving from Mac OS to Windows OS, from Windows to Ubuntu, and so on. And that's why it is general purpose. And when we talk about smooth learning curve, it has high level and easy to learn. Obviously it will increase programmer productivity. The reason is it has extensive, or you can say plethora of set of libraries, and via which you can use some existing algorithms. So instead of writing the coding part for developing the libraries, they give you direct libraries. That's the reason we are going ahead with Python. And most important, it is open source and free to learn, right? So in India, we generally try to go for some free sources, right? So that's why Python is open source and free to learn, and it is free to use. That is called as why we are going ahead with Python. Just a history, you all must be aware that Python is basically developed by this Ludo van Rossum. It's an open source, a high level programming language, and very easy to write. It's similar to your English language, the way you write. And it's open source and community driven. It's an object oriented, means it can have all the object oriented features. Basically your classes, objects that you have done in your OOPS languages. You have classes, class, you have object, you have polymorphism, inheritance, abstraction, data hiding, encapsulation. All these object-oriented features are available in your Python language, and it has over 200 modules in the standard library. So when you install Python, only the thing is your basic things related to Python gets loaded onto your machine. But if you want to go ahead with third-party library, how to go ahead with that, today I will show you that. So practically everything can be treated in Python as an object. So it is not completely fully object oriented, and it is not necessary always just say you have in Java you have to create a class, you have to write main. In C++ you have to write class, you have to write main, you have to create object. So that is not required actually. So there are no blocks of code. The blocks are implicitly created by indentation. It's easy and it's simple. So that is why we are shifting to Python. Now, if you have not installed Python, right, by today, I request everyone, if you want to practice along with me, then you need to install Python. How to install? You need to go to this link. You can say python.org/downloads. And here you will find Python downloadable. Whatever is your platform, maybe the Windows, maybe you can say Windows platform, Ubuntu platform. So you can just go ahead onto this link and then just download this Python. Next, when I'm saying Python, I have installed, let us say Python, but I cannot write my program onto the desktop directly. I cannot write my Python program in PowerPoint presentation. Of course, no. I need something called as IDE, which is called as Integrated Development Environment. And why do we use IDE? Because this particular IDEs, these are nothing but softwares. They gives us some integrated environment. What is integrated? I can write my source code in, you can say, in that particular software. I can compile my code, I can execute my code, and I can debug my code, I can test my code. All the functions are integrated in one single environment for the development of the users, and that's why it is called as IDE. And when I'm saying IDE, you can use n number of IDEs, but normally there is one thing called IDE which is famous, which is Jupyter Notebook, and second, which is PyCharm IDE. PyCharm is another Python IDE which is you can use and go ahead. Now, when I'm talking about PyCharm, you have to go to jetbrains.com and you can just download PyCharm, and that is also a software. You can just download, click on next, 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 and it is easy to install, right? And from this PyCharm IDE, please download Community Edition. So it's completely based on the developer, which IDE you're going to use for, whether you're going for Jupyter Notebook, whether you're going for PyCharm, but it's based on you. I have installed Jupyter Notebook, so if possible, at least not today, by tomorrow, if you have not installed Jupyter Notebook, so I request everyone, make sure you install Jupyter so that we all will be on the same pitch for this hands-on workshop, right? So this is about you can say Python installation and IDE. Now, when I'm talking about machine learning libraries, these all are third-party libraries. That means if I'm talking about NumPy, if I'm talking about Pandas, if I'm talking about, let us say, you can say SciPy, Skitlearn. So all these are third-party libraries. And when we say third-party libraries, we need to install explicitly. That doesn't come automatically in your machine, because if I am a developer, I want to work on machine learning only. So there may be a necessity of installing some libraries for me. There I may not require all the Python 200 packages, right? And that's the reason we need to install different modules every time whenever we are working in different projects. So it is based on user's requirement or the developer's requirement. So for that, we have something called as pip command. Pip stands for Python Package Manager, and you can say it's your friend. When you need to install any package from the plethora of choices available at the Python package index. So you only have to understand what is my project, how I want to develop. Second, for developing this project, what all libraries I need. So if I'm talking about libraries, those are called as external modules, or you can say some third-party libraries. How do we do? We just hit the command. Once you install Python, this pip command comes automatically. Means you do not have to install this pip again. Pip is already installed when we install Python. So installing a package is simple as a typing. I just have to write pip install whatever package name you want. But if there are certain projects which are already developed and I want to work on that project by maybe that project have used some specific version of that package. In that case, if I want to mention some specific version of that package, I will write pip install the package name == to a.b.c, where a.b.c is a specific version. The way you are talking about Python, initially there were Python 2.7, then you have Python 3.4, 3.7 and 3. And so on. So what are these? These are different versions. Similarly, when they go ahead with external modules, in that case they also have something called as, you can say, some versions of different modules. So if you want to just install a package, you can just write pip install. You can say you have to understand that pip is going to help you for installing third-party libraries. Now, these are the major libraries for data science. So, or you can say external or third-party libraries for the data science. First is NumPy, Pandas, Skitlearn, SciPy. So these all the libraries used for processing. Processing means I want to maybe import, I want to use some data, I want to work on the data, maybe some mathematical operations, maybe some logical relational operators, maybe some other different operators. Maybe I want to read the data, clean the data, fetch the features from the data, reading of images and reading of data, and then I need to apply those algorithms. So that's the reason I need these many libraries. These are the major libraries that comes when you are working with data science. And these libraries, we will try to touch NumPy, Pandas, two libraries from this section, maybe in next 2 days. And there is one visualization libraries. where we will see matplot and cbol. Now matplotlib is one visualization library which is basically used for plotting the graphs. For example, if I want to display my data in some graphical representation, I'll go ahead with matplotlib. So definitely we will see how to read the data, fetch the data and display it using matplot. And when I'm talking about skitlearn, it has its name is actually, when we try to import it, we just write import sklearn. So sklearn stands for skitlearn, which is the specific library for machine learning algorithms. So these are the different Python libraries you require for a data science. So if I'm saying pip, right? Pip install, I need to install Jupyter, NumPy, Pandas, SciPy, SymPy, Matplot. So you can install all these libraries by just writing pip install. But where do I write? I will have to go to command prompt, right? Either you can go to command prompt. If you are working on Windows, then you can go to command prompt. If you are working on Ubuntu, then you have to go for, you can say, terminal, and you can just type the command pip install. So that will be basically working. This is how this command prompt do. Already I have installed Python, I have installed packages. So you can just write pip install and you can just write NumPy. So if this will try to install a NumPy library for you, right? If there is another option called as conda environment. Now, as far as your Python is concerned, your Python is developed on one machine. But when I'm working in different projects, let us say I'm working on project A and I'm working on project B. If I'm saying I'm working on project A, I want 10 Python different libraries. Maybe I need matplotlib, maybe I need skitlearn and some more. But I want to work on project number 2. I do not want skitlearn. I do not want matplotlib. I just want NumPy and pandas. That's it. So what I'll do, I will segregate those projects into two different environments. I will create a virtual environment on my machine. And when we say I'm creating a virtual environment, so Conda is one famous. Anaconda, you can say there are different flavors like Conda here. You have Anaconda, you have Mini Conda and so on. So all these are different virtual environments which are already available. You can say they are a wrapper over your Python packages. They have already some predefined libraries. So if you are working on different projects, so 100% I need NumPy in all the projects because that is a basic library for processing the data. So in that case, this Conda environment will have automatically NumPy installed. So when I'm working on different projects, instead of installing each and every package, I will create a segregation by making different you can say virtual environments. So Conda is for that. So if you have not installed virtual environment on your machine, then you can just go ahead with pip install. But if you have a virtual environment on your machine and you are using Conda environment on your machine, then you have to write Conda install. Rest all the things are same. Okay, this is about packages. There is something called as help utility. So if you want to know something called as help function, which is already available in your Python, right? So this help utility, I will show you in Jupyter how to use and how we get the output, and then you will understand. Okay. This is just the list, and yeah. Okay. Right. So we will move ahead to something called as Python basics. So first we will go to Jupyter Notebook now. I'll introduce some of the variables, how do you declare variables and so on. I assume you all must have some Python IDE available. Maybe some Python IDE available with you. Maybe some Jupyter Notebook, or you can say PyCharm. Okay. If I assume you have Python on your machine and you have something called as a Jupyter Notebook on your machine. Now, if it is not there, I request for tomorrow's session, you can just start, you can just start downloading that, and you can start implementing with me, or start working with me rather. Now, when I'm talking about Jupyter Notebook, then you have to go to command prompt and just type Jupyter Notebook. Hit enter. Hit enter, right? If you have any queries, you can just post it into the chat box so that I will understand. Till this point is, I assume you all have understood everything. Okay. All right. When you click on, when you click Jupyter Notebook, just hit one browser, right? And your browser will look like this. It will just open a Jupyter Notebook. Generally, your Jupyter Notebook is started within the browser. Now, this is my Jupyter Notebook, right? In your Jupyter Notebook, whatever things are available on your machine, they are visible, right? So let us say I'm moving to documents. I'm moving to maybe Python workshop online. And in this, I have created already this particular folder in my machine. So let me just go to that location first, right? So this is my documents. Here I have created one folder for you, Python workshop online. And here I've not kept anything, just one PPT. That's it. Now I want to keep, or I want to start writing the programs. When I want to start writing the programs, in that case, I will just have to create a new file. The way in any programming language, we have to create files, right? For example, if I'm working with C file, then I have to create, you can say .c extension. If I'm working with C++, I need .cpp extension. For Java, I need .java extension, and so on. Similarly, when I'm writing a program in Python, I have to first, this is how your Jupyter looks like. Always when you install Jupyter, it automatically gets installed. Only the thing that you have to do is go to the command prompt and hit Jupyter Notebook. It takes little time for the first time because it needs some kind of authentication on your machine, and that will off your local host, and it gets opened on your browser window. So that's the reason it takes little time. So let us assume this is my GUI, which is for Jupyter. Here it shows all the files for me. I can move ahead in any files. Here there is something called as a new. When you click in use, just a second, there is a disturbance. Right. Someone was on mute. Okay. When you talk about Python 3, right, there are two versions of Python. One is Python 2, another is Python 3. They both are in use. The reason is some of the industry projects are developed in Python 2. They are still running on Python 2. And we need to, if you want to work with Python 3, they have to convert from Python 2 to Python 3 with some features, some additional features. So that is the reason they are still in use. So Python 2 is also in use and Python 3 is also in use. Let us say I'm writing new and Python 3. When I create that new Python 3, it will take little time. It will open a file for me. Let it get opened. All right. So here, this is my Jupyter window GUI. It is saying untitled. Let me just rename. right? Okay, I'll just rename this by saying it's day 1 online. Okay, and create a notebook. Normally, whenever we are working with Python or whenever we are working with Jupyter, we generally say it is a Jupyter notebook, because every time you have to you are writing the code into this and you are saying that it is a Jupyter notebook. So this is what is a technical terminology that is used, right? In this Jupyter notebook, there is something called as file, edit, and so on. But here there's something called as plus sign, which will try to add number of cells into this line. When I'm talking about Python, in Python, we write smaller codes in sentences. It is an interpreted language, so it generally tries to interpret your program. The basic difference between your compiler and interpreter is when you were writing a C program or C++ program or Java program, your program was converted into from the source code to the machine code at one stretch from line 1 maybe to line 100. So that is called as compile time languages. But your Python is interpreted language. The reason is if you have error in line number 1, it will not go to the line number 2. So conversion of source code to the machine code is done line by line. And that's why we call this Python as an interpreted language. All right. So let us say I want to just write one statement. In your normal C, C++ or Java language, if I want to just print hello, in that case, I had to write integer main, I have to give some scope, right? We used to write integer main, we used to write void, then we used to write something called as printf, right? And then we write hello, right? And if I write hello and then I have something called as return 0 and semicolon. Now these are the different you can say line of code that we had seen in C programming. So big code it is. How about Python? Just write print welcome to online Python workshop. That's it. So this is just one single statement. It is so easy to write the Python code. It do not have main and nothing like that. So now I have written this code. I need to execute this code. When I say I want to execute, I want to click on run. Either you can press run or you can just hit Control plus enter. And Control plus enter say this particular cell will get executed. Let's click on run. Can you see there is an asterisk sign before execution? यहाँ पे there was an asterisk sign. The asterisk sign in this was basically done because my code was running, right? Code was trying to get converted from source code to the machine code. And here I have seen the output. So this is basically first you can say a print statement in case of Python. It's easy because it is human readable. No need to write multiple number of you can say statements just for one simple printf statement, and that is why we have this welcome to online Python workshop, and here it have printed the output for me. Now let us take some variable declaration. If I'm writing variable 1, that is 10, I'll just say run. That's it, variable declaration. No need to define whether it is of integer, whether it is of character, whether it is of float, whether it is of string, and so on. So this is variable declaration, right? If you just want to print, you just write print var1. So I can just hit enter and it will just print variable 1 value for me. So that means here we do not have to just a second, it is giving unstable. Yeah. So if we talk about variables, in that case, this is my variable 1 which is declared. And when I say print var1, it is printing me the variable for me. So again, I do not have to basically go ahead by writing the format specifiers and so on. Let us say I'm writing num is equal to 10, right? Here I'm writing num2 and here I'm writing 20. So this is called as multiple variable declaration, right? In case of Python, we can put here multiple variable declaration. This was not allowed in case of your C, C++ or Java language. So I can have one variable declaration. I can have multiple variable declaration on one single line. The first value will go to num and second value will go to num2. I hope this is visible, otherwise I'll just increase the font. Okay, right? If you just write print num1, right, in that case it will just print num1 for me. Again, if I want print num2, it will print num2 for me. You can hit shift enter, or okay, this printf is giving error. It is because you have to execute the statements one by one if you are working a Jupyter Notebook. I'm not having num, I have print num1, num and num2. Just press shift enter. It is printing num1, num value and num2 value. So these are some, you can say, some introduction about how do you go ahead with a variable declarations. After that, if you want to take some input from user, you can just write here val1 is equal to, there is some specific function which is called as input function in Python, which is used to take input from the user. So I will write enter value. So here it will wait for me to enter some value. And after that, if I'm writing val1, the way you have used printf, scanf in C, cin, cout in C++, system.out.println, system.in, and so on in Java, here there is just a symbol input. This input will take an input value from the user and it will store it into val1. And when I say print this value, obviously this will ask me first value and then, can you see it is asking me? It is like interaction I'm making through this Jupyter. Can you see still my code is running because it is an interpreted language. So this code will run line by line. Still my code is in execution mode, and that's why this asterisk sign is there. So if I write 20 over here, it is displaying me 20. So this is used to take input if I want to take a value from the user. These are few things that you must understand before going ahead into lists, tuples and dictionaries. Let us say I'm writing name is equal to Akshita. This is just what it is. Means I do not again have to work on declaring the data type for my variable names. This will be considered as a string. So if I'm talking about this string, it is considered as one object. If I'm talking about some numeric value, it is considered as an object. So everything is considered in the form of object. So no need to specify the specific data types whenever we are working with strings or numeric data and so on. If you want to concat the string, you can just use plus operation for that. Now, suppose I have name over here. I'm just writing print name of 3. Let us just control enter. It will give me the H letter. What is this? This is called as fetching one single character at index 3. That is called as, you can say Python me if I want to fetch the data from the string. If I'm writing print name and if I'm writing 0 to 4, then let us observe the output. It is giving me only Aksh. That means this operation is called as slicing operation on string. What is slicing operation? We are trying to execute the code and we are trying to fetch few characters starting from 0 to 4. Similarly, let me just add a few more cells. Okay, it adds over here. I'll go here and we will add few more cells. Okay, if I write print and then if I'm giving 3 or let us say 2 and colon, when you try to execute 2 and colon, in that case it should give me name of this. Yes, slicing name of 2 and colon. So it should give me SHITA. So from the letter 2, I want to print up to end. So this is slicing operations that I'm performing onto the string. I hope you all are there and you are trying at least few of the operations on variables and strings. Okay, good. Let us go ahead. When we talk about these variables, right, we have seen we do not have to declare and we do not have to first declare or initialize and so on. We just write that variable name. We do not have to mention the data types, right? You can have any variable name, any floating point number, any string, any numeric, that is absolutely correct. But when I say your Python try to represent the variables in the form of object, and if I want to know which variable is of which type, then I can go ahead with the help of type function. So this type function is going to give me what type of variable it is. For example, if I'm writing print bracket में type of name. What is my name? Name I have declared as string. So can you see it is giving me class as a string. So this is basically if we want to know the type of object of any variable, we can use something called as type. That is called as type or specific type function, predefined function. Okay. So this is all about your variables concept. Now when we talk about string, I have explained something called a string. Basically it's set of characters in the program and you have to define the string in double quotes. You cannot split the string in two different lines. That means this is not a legal string. You cannot do like that, right? When we talk about string, you have /t as a tab character, /n as a new line character, /double quotes as a it will print double quotes on your output screen. / character constant will print / onto your output screen. So you have again different functions like string.title, str.upper and so on. If I just hit name.upper and hit enter, it is giving me all the letters in uppercase. Similarly, you have uppercase, lowercase, is digit, is you can say is alphabet, and you have length function and so on and so forth. So this is basically some string functions that are already there in many programming languages, only they have a different syntax into Python. That is what is a difference when we talk about Python. Okay. All right.
Sorry to interrupt you, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Students, those who are not able to drop the queries here, they can drop their queries in the Telegram chat box. I will read it from there.
Okay, because I can see there is no, the chat box is empty actually. So
yes, students, those who are finding problem in dropping the queries here, they can drop in the Telegram.
Okay, ma'am. So I hope the students, you all have understood the instructions given by ma'am. Okay, good. So this is what is basically, you can say I'm working with the concept of string, right? Ma'am, if there are any queries, they post it onto the onto this Telegram. Just let me know into the chat box so that I will be able to address them?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Yes. All right. So this is all about the string part. Now, when I'm talking about string, we have seen something called as string functions, string slicing, declaration of string, whether it is uppercase, whether it is lowercase, how to find, and so on. Right? You can use print name dot find inside the bracket a. It is giving me 0. What is this 0? It is nothing but index number at which my a character is occurring, and that is, you can say, a find function. Let us move on to functions. When we talk about functions, they are same in case of your C, C++, and Java. Functions are basic building blocks. When I want to divide my program into different sections, then I make use of functions. And when we talk about functions, in that case, the functions are having normally the declaration part, the definition part, and you can say the you can give a call to the function, right? Now, when I'm writing a function is basically written in Python with the help of the keyword called as a def keyword. Now, what is this def? Def is used by, followed by the function name and the parenthesis. And then we give a semicolon. So def is basically is a keyword which have some predefined meaning, which is used for defining a function. Now, how do I define a function and how do I define a class? So let us assume, let us say I'm writing one code in which we are going to see something called as declaration of class, because both the concepts are important with respect to object oriented point of view. Let us say I'm creating a class student. Whenever I'm creating a class student, I give colon. This is what is a syntax that you have to follow. If you're not giving the proper colon, then your Python will not understand that this is a class declaration. Another important thing is, when I'm talking about this colon, it will automatically indent your program. Indentation or curly brackets opening, curly brackets closing, all these are not available in the Python language. So the code of Python must be indented correctly. If you do not indent the code correctly, indent means आपके tab space new line, ये सारा proper होना चाहिए. If it is not proper, then it will give you error. So always when you follow the syntax correctly, Python compiler automatically indent your program. So if I'm saying I want to define, let us say, init function. I hope you all know the meaning of constructor in object-oriented programming. When I'm talking about, or in, you can say, Java programming, in that case, your constructor is defined because I am saying to my compiler, whenever I'm creating an object of the class, please initialize my members. Here also, I have one init function, which is underscore init underscore, which is used as an initialization function and which is used to initialize the data members of your class student. So from this, your compiler will understand, oh, there is a class student who is having some init method, and this method or function is having two arguments, name and age. Always your init function is taking something called as self. This self is similar to your this keyword in Java or this keyword in your C++. This is used for pointing the object to itself. So whoever object is created for the student, that object will have its own memory space for name and age. And when I try to initialize them, then I will go ahead with init. वहां पे we used to write this dot name is equal to name. यहाँ पे I am pointing to myself, I am pointing to current object. So self dot name is equal to name, self dot age is equal to age. I will hit enter. Can you see I am hitting the enter after this colon? That indentation is automatically maintained by my Jupyter Notebook. Again, if I'm pressing backspace, let us say I define one more function where I'm writing display underscore data and I'm writing self. This is my second function definition part. And when I'm saying second function definition part, I'm just writing here print self dot name. Again, I'm writing print age self dot age. That is called as display data function. Again, when I have started this function, your compiler or your interpreter will automatically understand that this is my second function definition. And can you observe this indentation def and this indentation def is on the same column data. So यहाँ पे your internally your compiler will understand this is the function definition for this def and this is the function definition for this def. And this is normal function definitions, right? I want to create object. How do we create? I will write just st. St, student is my class name. Let us say I'm here passing Akshita and I'm passing, let us say 32. In this case, st dot display underscore data. And I will give this. Right? When you try to hit enter or control and enter, it is just display underscore data. I'm sorry, this is just saying display data. When you hit control enter, it is giving me Akshita and 32. This is called as a class and the function. I have shown, due to the time constraint, I have shown one single example how to declare a class and how to declare functions within the class, how to create object of the class, how to initialize the objects of the class, and how to display the data using the Python programming. It is so easy. You do not have to write many things. It is basically the code is so readable in case of Python. Right? Now, considering all this, let us move ahead to the first major data structure. So I'm assuming you please, I request everyone, you please revise once what is variables, what is string, what is function, how to declare a class, what is object, and so on. The reason is these all concepts you must have seen in different programming language. Only the difference is in usage of some syntaxes, and that is what I have shown in this R, right? Let us move ahead to Python data structures. Now data structures बोल सकते हैं, या we can say these are different elements which are treated as some containers. First is a list, second is dictionary, third is tuple. So when I'm saying Python data structure, right? Let me go to the Jupyter Notebook and write few comments. Okay. I'll just add a few cells to show you the exact demonstration of what is list, what is tuple, what is set, and what is dictionary. We'll read the theory PPT slides later. This is how we write comments in Python. If I'm talking about list, then we represent list in square brackets. If I'm talking about tuple, we represent tuple in round brackets. If I'm talking about set, sometimes you can declare set like this. And if I'm talking about, let us say, set is just a dictionary only. Let us take dictionary first. Dictionary, it is declared like this. Why I have written these brackets? It is because if when I'm talking about list, when I'm talking about tuple, dictionary or set, they are the list of elements only. List of elements means जैसे we were having arrays in normal C or C++. On the similar lines, we have list, tuple and dictionaries. Now what is the difference between these? In case of list, the list is basically set of elements. But here inside the list, we can add the element, we can display the element, we can delete the element, we can concat the elements, we can perform different functionalities within the list. The list is basically your immutable data. Immutable means you can say we can perform some modifications into the list. But when I'm talking about tuple, tuple is basically represented in the form of round brackets. Because why I have specified the you can say brackets, it is because from this your compiler will understand, your interpreter will understand that the tuple, this is what a tuple is declared, this is what is a list is declared, this is how the dictionary is declared. When we talk about tuple, they are immutable objects. It means list is mutable, tuple is immutable. Immutable means you do not have a right to make any modifications within these tuples. So once it is declared, it is fixed. You cannot append some data, you cannot delete some data, you cannot perform any modifications within this tuple data, and that is called as tuple. And when I'm talking about dictionary, dictionary is basically a key and value pair. So we will first see what is a list, what is tuple and what is dictionary. We will just try to define it and then we will see these slides and some functions about it. So if I want to, I request everyone, you can go along with me. If I want to write list 1, right? This is my list 1 which I'm creating. If you want to create a normal list, here I'll come. If I say I'm creating a normal list, in this case, I can create a normal list like maybe data science, maybe ML, maybe artificial intelligence, maybe DL, and so on. This is called as list declaration. If I say print list 1 and if I hit enter, it is displaying me this, right? This is one way of writing the list elements. Second, if I'm writing list 2, here I am writing square brackets. So the line number 22, in the cell number 22, in which I have mentioned the data, that is DS, ML, AI and list. So I can create a list by just giving double quotes. That is a valid syntax. Second, if I normally list is an array, comma, maybe element number 2, comma, element number 3, and so on and so forth. And if I want print, and I'll say list 2 elements are, do I have to apply for loop? No, just hit enter. Can you see it is displaying me element 1, element 2, element 3. It is so easy in Python. No need to apply a for loop also. It will automatically enumerate its data and it will try to display the data in a proper way. That is, element 1 is displayed, element 2 is displayed, element 3 is displayed, and so on. Let us say I'm writing print. I just want list 2 ka first element. Hit enter. Is it giving me element 2 output? Yes. So this is like fetching a single element from the list. So how my compiler is how my interpreter is understanding that this is a list declaration. It is understanding because of this square brackets. If you do not give the square brackets, if you just write, then also it is a list. That is also valid. But if I want to represent list as an array, then I will give inside these square brackets. If I want to fetch a single element from the list, you can fetch it by writing this, right? Suppose now I'm saying list 2 ka second element I want to change. I want to make it element number 10. Right? So I'm trying to perform some modifications within list elements. I do? Yes. Just write the name of the list, pass the index, and you can just write the element name. After this, I'm just trying to print list 2. When I hit enter, it is giving me the second element, that is index is starting with 0, 1 and 2. The second element is changed from element 3, which was initially element 3. Now it has been modified to element number 10. It is because it is a list. List allows me to modify the data inside it. You can perform different functions, right? Let us work with list functions now. So here, if you write here list function, and can you see there is a option which is called as a code or heading or markdown. So Jupyter Notebook may, if you want to do some kind of you can say documentation, you can just write like this markdown. Markdown is for just writing some documentation. If you want to go ahead with heading, so you can just go ahead with heading. So here I'm starting with the concept called as list functions. This is heading. So let's say I'm creating, I have already, let us say, created list 2. Now I want to delete, so del is a list function. What I want to delete? I want to delete list 2 ka second element, right? And I'm just trying to print list 2. Hit enter. The second element is deleted. So del is the first function which is used in the list. Second, if I'm writing, let us say I'm writing ARR1. This is array 1. And I'm writing 10, 20 and 30. This is the list. Again, how would I come to know? Because of this square brackets. If I'm writing array 2, which is, let us say, 30, 40 and 50, right? And if I'm saying array of 3, which is equal to array of 1 plus array of 2, hit enter. Okay, I have not printed it. Let's just print array 3. It is performing the concat operation. So this is the second operation onto the list, concat, and for concating we use plus sign. Next, the third function is length function, right? Length function is, let us say I'm writing print array of 3, but I want to find length of it, so I will use len function. There are 5 elements into this array 3. It is displaying me 5. Next, I'll go ahead with max function. How do I write max? I use max of ARR of 3. Hit enter. It will give me maximum element from the list. If I want to find minimum, in that case, I'll go ahead print minimum of array of 3. So this is giving me minimum function of an array. If I want to append, if I want to perform some append operation, I can say array of 3 dot append. I want to append some data, maybe 100. And if I say I want to print array 3, I will be able to see the last element within the list is 100. Next, if I want to count the number of elements, how do I count? I'll just write print array 3 dot count. bracket, I'm saying 30. Or let me just do one thing. I will first append one more data called as 50. Okay, and let us say I'm printing array 3 first. Why I did so, I want to explain something called as count. So I'll say array 3. I'll say array 3 dot bracket में 50. And if you just write inside this print function, it will give me the occurrences of the 50 number who is occurring within this list. So these are some of the important functions available inside the list. And list is a most important task when you want to fetch the data, store it into an array so you can create a list. And list can be created by using square brackets. That is what is about list, right? So the first data structure that we have seen is a list, which is called as mutable set of string. How do we create list? We write variable, square brackets, and create a list. Or we can just write variable. Listen carefully. The difference between your array and list is array consists of similar type of data, but list can consist of combination of data. Can you see? The first data is of type string. The second data is of type number. The third data is of type again string. The fourth data is of type again string. That is called as a list. Right? Let us move ahead to dictionary. Right? When we talk about dictionary, let's go here. So now we are moving ahead to something called as dictionary. Okay, so let us first try to declare a dictionary. How do we declare? Let us say I'm creating one dictionary having the name called as students. A dictionary is always enclosed within this curly brackets, where when I say curly brackets के अंदर I have to write key and value. Key is always enclosed in double quotes and value you can give any. I'm writing ST2 is my student 2 having the value 20. ST3 is the next student having the value as 30. So these are the different, you can say, dictionary which is created, which is having key, value. Always your dictionary is enclosed within the curly brackets. If you do not store this into curly brackets, this will give you error. The reason is your compiler will understand that if this is only a single variable, if I do not have a data type called as integer, if I do not use the data type float or something like that, how my interpreter will analyze? Is it finding it? This curly brackets. And this curly brackets indicates it is a key value pair, right? Again, this is what is the declaration that we have done, right? Somewhere I have given, good, this is correct. We should give colon. Okay, so the dictionary is declared. ST:10, ST2, ST3. These are called as keys and 1023 are called as values. So if I'm writing print and I'm just writing students is my dictionary name and I want to fetch ST1. Let us hit enter. ST1 should be enclosed into double quotes. Can you see it is giving me 10. So this is fetching the value of some key. This is called as dictionary. This is first. Second, if I want to change the key value. How do I change? What is my dictionary name? Students. I'm saying whatever is ST2, make that value now as 50. So if I want to change the value of some key in case of dictionary, I can just write the dictionary name ST2 is equal to 50. And if I just hit print and students, correct? You see ST2 is now being changed to 50, and that is called as changing the key value. So dictionary is combination of keys and values. If I want to change some value, then I can just write like this. Next, let us say I want to perform deletion. I'm writing delete. Del is a function. Students, I want to pass ST3. So if I want to delete some specific key value pair, so this is delete some specific key value. Hit enter. Students ST3 was there, right? Del students ST3. That's yes, it is giving me this print students. Just a second. I'll write del and I'll hit and I must give ST2, let us say. This should work, right? After this, I'm just printing. I don't know why it is giving. Just a second. We will just delete this first. Okay, it is already been deleted by me. It's like Jupyter Notebook works in a sequence, right? It is saying key error ST2. I have executed this code 2 times, so that's the reason it is giving me the error. Okay, just try to print students over here. It is giving ST1 is 10. It is because I have executed the same cell 3 times, that is 2 times. In that case, first it tries to delete ST2. That is why it have deleted. Second time when I hit this cell once again, it is saying I do not have ST2 value now. How can I delete? And that's why this is a error. And when I try to print students, you can see initially ST3 we have deleted, later on we have deleted ST2. And when I try to print students, so it is printing ST1. It is like interpreted language. तो फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट एग्जीक्यूट हुआ तो वो नेक्स्ट स्टेटमेंट में जाएगा. फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट एग्जीक्यूट हुआ, ST3 डिलीट हुआ, ST3 is getting deleted, and when it got deleted, I cannot delete the same dictionary key value because it is not in existence. That's the reason. All right, let us just write print, and I'm just finding length of students. Hit enter. It is giving me 1 because it is having only one element. Again, I'm writing print, and I want to know only the key values. So I can use the function students.keys function. It is giving me dictionary keys are ST1, right? Similarly, if I'm writing values, students.values, so it's only print function. It is giving dictionary values of 10. That means if I only want to fetch some key values inside your dictionary, you can use keys function. If you want to go ahead with values or fetch some values, I can go ahead something called as values function. So these functions can be used with dictionaries, right? So we have seen what exactly a dictionary is. It is a key value pair, always enclosed in the you can say curly brackets. The student, the dictionary is having different functions. Maybe something called as delete, maybe something called as length function, maybe something called as keys function, maybe values function, right? Let us go ahead to something called as tuple. So I will explain that tuple concept now. How to create a tuple? I will have a tuple. Okay, I will have a tuple. Let us say tup1, where when we talk about tuple, always it is enclosed within the round brackets. Let's say I'm writing maths, maybe something called as 30, maybe something called as English. It's a combination of data. One is of integer, one is of string, and everything is inside this tuple, right? So if I hit enter, it is just storing the data. Let us just try to print tuple1. It is displaying me the data. Now listen carefully. A tuple is basically immutable object. I cannot change the objects which are there inside the tuple. You can consider that this tuple remains the constant values. The way we were having something called as enumeration or enum data type in C or C++, right? In that case, the data, the objects which I am writing inside the tuple are immutable. You cannot change, like you cannot say tup1 of 0 is equal to this, tup2 of 0 is equal to this. You cannot change it. You cannot add or append or delete any data inside the tuple. Similarly, if I'm writing print, just you can perform print operations. Tuple1 of 0 means it will fetch the first data from this tuple. Similarly, if I'm writing print tuple1, right, tuple1 from 0 to 2, it will fetch the data from 0 to 2. So that is from 0 to 1. It goes up to n minus 1. So this is like we are trying to fetch the data from tuple. Right? So this is about tuple. You do not have any major functions in tuple. Tuples are immutable. You can just view the records. Can you observe here? Just let us come to this point now. When I've written, please observe cell number 65 or 56. When you observe student.keys, can you see the dictionary key it have given me as st1, but these keys are given in round brackets. Similarly, when I have written students.values, in that case, it is giving me those values again into round brackets. Means, can I conclude that this dictionary values are fetched, or the key and values are fetched and stored into a tuple because tuple is immutable. They should have store. It is actually getting stored into the tuple, and that's why you are getting the round brackets. Can you see here you have round brackets? Here also you have the round brackets. That's why it is immutable, right? So when we talk about data structures, so list we have seen, tuples we have seen, dictionaries we have seen. There is one more which is also called as set. There is only one difference between tuple and set. In a tuple, the declaration part is the same, definition part is also same. The difference is inside the tuple you may have repetitive data, but inside a set you do not have a repetitive data. That is what is the difference between tuple and a set. Each has its own set of methods. That is basically we have seen different methods, like in case of list we have length function, we have concat, we have append, we have min, we have max, we have count. In case of dictionary we have seen keys, values. If I want to access some specific key, then you have seen something called as delete if you want to change, and so on. In case of tuple, they are immutable. We can just fetch the values. That is called as tuples. So list, you can think of list as a stack of cards on which your information is written. Their sequence can be changeable. You can have a list within the square brackets. You can add to the list by writing append. You can also extend the list. How to extend? You can just write the existing list name, for example, breakfast, dot extend, and you can give one or two more number of elements within the list. So we have seen list methods like del, concat, len, min, max, append, and count. Later on, we have seen dictionaries. These are the lookup tables. When we say lookup tables, they are having some set of keys and value pair. And keys are basically some unique things which we give, and these the values are given to those keys, right? So when we talk about dictionary, they are lookup tables. They allows you to identify values by descriptive name instead of ordered in the list. We have seen tuples, which are sort of immutable list. When we say sort of immutable list, in that case, they are basically iterable arrays of objects. Once created, they are unchanged. How do we create tuple? We write round brackets and define the elements. What's the difference between tuple and list? The lists are slower but more powerful than tuples. The list can be modified. They have lots of handy operations. When we talk about tuples, they are immutable and have fewer features. If you want to convert from list to tuple, you have direct function. That means you can use list function, which will convert your existing tuple into list. Or you have a tuple function which will convert your existing list into tuple. So vice versa, you can do by using the functions list or tuple. This is just about the data structures which are available within your Python programming. Now, let us take one code where I'll show you how do you try to read some contents, or you can say get some contents from the file. So what I'll do, I will go to the same folder, right? I will create one text file, maybe some source.txt file, and I'm trying to write these are source file contents. That's it. I just want to read the file content. This you can say if I want to read, then normally when we were in C, Java, so we were having file pointer, then you use fopen function, then you have used fclose function. Then if you want to go ahead with dynamic memory allocation, then you were having you can say free PTR, deallocate that memory, heap section you need to clear, and so on and so forth. But in case of Python, if I just want to read contents from file, how do we go ahead? I'll just write file1. I'll just write equal. I'll use open function. I'll give the file name source.txt, src.txt. In which mode? R mode. So I'll just write like this. I'll say file1 dot read function. Hit enter. In this case, fopen. It is file1 is my source. Yes, is it available in the same directory? Let me just check. Read the contents from the file. No such file, source.txt. src.txt. Okay, I have given .txt.txt. Let us check. Can you see by mistake .txt is given in the file name, right? So it is giving me some source file content. Can you see the Python language? It is so easy, where the reading of file, which we used to write 20 lines of code, 50 lines of code, maybe 10 lines of code just to read the file content in other programming language, the Python have made it so easy for us. It's just the 2 line of code. Is it reducing the developer efforts? Obviously, yes, it is reducing. And that is how you can read just the contents from the file. Now, you can use functions like something called as a write function. You can use close function. You can use read all function, and so on. So, in case of file and its operation, these are some basic things. So, when you want to explore more on files, in that case, we can go ahead with open function, which is used for reading the contents, writing the contents. A is for appending the contents. In file and out file, maybe you want to open the file for writing mode. Maybe you want to open the file for reading mode. You have read n bytes. Maybe some bytes I want to read. I'll just have to use one single function. If I want to go ahead with reading one next line, I'll go ahead with read line. If I want to go ahead with some set of lines, we'll write read lines, write lines, and you can go ahead with close. So these are some file operations, right? So if you want to write, let us take one example. I want to use some write function. Let us say I'm writing f is equal to open, and I'm writing src txt.txt. उसी फाइल पे ऊपर मैं write करती हूँ, assume, right? And I'm writing f.write. Can you see now I have given the mode as w, right? I'm writing additional contents in my file. So I've added some contents. I'm writing f close, right? Let us try to again use f open. I'm writing f is equal to open. Just open this file again in read mode. So first I have written the contents. Next I'm again reading the contents. Obviously I have to make this mode as read mode, and I'll say f.read function. Can you see it is overwriting the contents and it is displaying additional contents in my file. If you want to go ahead with append, let us try. I'm writing f is equal to open. My file name is the same. I'll write a mode. A is used for appending the contents onto your file. Okay, when you try to append the code, I'll write f.write. I'll say appending the contents in file. So this will again write the content, but it will first observe what is the mode. Mode is a mode. So I'll just close the file, because when you are using write and append mode, it will open the file. So it's a good practice to close that file. So I'll use f open again. I am reading this data, and I'll say f.read. Hit enter. Can you see pehle wale contents were additional content in my file, and I have appended the contents into the file. So that is called as reading the data from the file, writing the content structures of Python, because those are important, and without those you cannot work with data. And we have seen why we are moving ahead towards Python, why you require data science, the flow of data science. And I request everyone, make sure you install Python, right? And you install Jupyter Notebook. Before coming for the tomorrow's session, I request you please hit pip install numpy, and please hit pip install, you can say pandas, and you please install pip install matplotlib. These 3 libraries we are going to see in next 2 days. Maybe tomorrow we will see numpy and pandas. Maybe on the last day we will start with the concept of matplot. So tomorrow, if you will have these 3 libraries installed, it will be easy for you to type the code along with me whenever you're working on hands-on workshop, right? Also, once you have installed NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, how do you check it? You just write import NumPy and press enter, control enter. It's still yes. If this statement import NumPy have successfully executed, it means your NumPy have been installed successfully. So first job, you all have to install NumPy by writing pip space install NumPy where onto your terminal, onto your command prompt. If your NumPy library is installed successfully, in that case, you can just write import NumPy. And if you have installed Pandas library successfully, just try to import. If the library is installed successfully, then it will not give you error. Similarly, import matplotlib. After installation, how do you check whether the libraries are installed or not? By just writing import statement into the Jupyter Notebook. So I request everyone for tomorrow's session, you must install NumPy, Pandas and Matplotlib. All right. Okay. Just a second. Amita ma'am, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
So,
I have got a few queries from
yes, ma'am.
student.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One student has explained, has requested to explain again a file session.
Okay, file session, I'll explain again. So, let us go ahead. Let us go to this Jupyter Notebook once again. Right. So, in your C programming, let us say, in your C programming, you had created, or when you have worked with C++, in that case, all of you have worked with different files, maybe text file, maybe CSV file, and so on. In those scenarios, you all must have created a file pointer. You must have used fopen function. Then you must have used something called as for loop for going towards the end of the file and fetching the data, fetching the content, and then close the file. This concept you have seen in normal C, C++, Java ke languages mein. After that, once your job is done, after that you have closed that file. But when I'm talking about Python, it is very easy language. If I want to read the contents of the file, then I can just use a read function. I just have to tell to the compiler that there is one variable file1, but this is not the variable. Every time, every variable I create in Python, that is created as an object. Everything is considered as an object. Whether you create integer data, whether you create string, whether you consider float, any variable you assign with an equal sign, that is considered as object. So what this object file1 will hold? This file1 will hold open function. Open will open this file in which mode? Read mode. So here my compiler interpreter will understand that file1 will hold source.txt file ke contents or you can say the address of that particular file into your file1. And when I'm saying read, it will just read the content. You do not have to use while the file pointer is up to EOF, while the file pointer is up to -1. You do not. So that is basically you want to read the contents. Next, if I'm talking about write mode, in that case, the W mode is used for contents on your file. But when we use W mode is used when it will basically try to overwrite the content. It will not just append the content. So in my source.txt file, I have written W mode. W stands for write mode, and here additional contents in my file. So here it will try to write the data on the file. I'm saying f dot close, it will close the file. And when I'm saying open, I'll just try to read the content the way I have read it in the cell number 66. So it is reading the content. So ये मेरे additional content हो गए. Actually ये additional नहीं हुए. These contents are overwritten. Why? Because I've used the mode called as W mode. Similarly, if I'm talking about open, here I'm using A mode. A stands for appending. Appending means whatever existing contents are available onto the file, they are shifted or they are basically kept as it is, and rest all contents will be added at the end. So appending the contents in the file using the A mode will be fwrite function. When I'll say fclose, this will close the file. Again, I'm trying to read. So जो पहले वाले contents थे, those are displayed, and after that appending the contents in the file is displayed. So I hope it's clear.
Yes, ma'am. Next question is, one student has requested to explain init method again.
Okay, so in case of your Java, or in case of your C++ programming, when you had created objects, right? In that case, you have created objects. So whenever I create object, let us say I'm writing here some C++ code. आप ऑब्जेक्ट कैसे क्रिएट करते थे? You have written student st, and inside the bracket, if you have passed Akshita and if you have passed 30, so this would have given a call to the constructor of the class, right? This was the case in case of C programming, C++ programming. But when I'm saying constructor of the class, it is used to initialize the object. So this is like when I am creating in Python st, again it is an object because everything is treated as an object. Which class object? Student class object. This should give a call to the constructor. Constructor is defined by using your init function. Init is under this is like a convention, or you can say it's a syntax. If you are defining a class, if you want to initialize the objects, initialize the members of that class, you always have to use underscore init underscore. From this, your compiler will understand that this is the initialization function. That means I have to give a call to the constructor. I have to give a memory allocation for this name object and for this age object. To whom? To this st object. So this will try to initialize the data members of the class. Now, जब मैं constructor में लिखती थी, let us say in case of C++ programming, you must have written class student. And how you have written a constructor? You have written a class student, and आप लोग यहाँ पे लिखते थे integer age, string name, and यहाँ पे आप लिखते थे this arrow age is equal to age, this arrow name is equal to name. This keyword you have used in C++ and Java. Here in Python, instead of this arrow, you have self keyword. Self is basically pointing to itself. Whoever is pointing to itself, its contents will get initialized. So if I'm talking about st, it's one object who is pointing to itself. Itself means it will point. st ka name will be set to Akshita and st ka age will be set to 32, and that is how is basically your
mention in the mail, because she is accessing this on her mobile.
Okay, it is compulsory to see if you are attending a hands-on session. So it is basically recommended to have you the same software on your laptop or on your machine. The reason is it's a hands-on session. So if you code along with me, not 100%, at least if you try a few lines of code along with me, it will boost your confidence. Or otherwise, what you can do is you can just listen to the session, take down the notes. Later on, you can install the Python on your machine and you can practice, because on mobile you cannot completely execute all the codes, right? So it is just a request. If possible, try to install Python, try to install Jupyter, NumPy, Pandas and Matplotlib for next 2 days. If it is possible, Otherwise, you can just listen to the session, note down some points, and then you can execute at your end. Okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, student has requested, can they get whatever code you are explaining? Can they get that
Yes.
code? Means,
Yes, what I'll do, I will just make a PDF of this, and I can share it with you later on. I'll just try if I can make a PDF. So yes, in this Jupyter notebook, I can download this. And normally your notebooks are Jupyter notebooks are having the extension IPNYB, right? So here I will just try to download. If possible, I'll save it. Right? If it is allowing me, then definitely I will just save this code. Okay, I'll try at my end. Otherwise, I will share the PPT slides, ma'am, if you wish. So, or I can just take a print preview, and I will just save this. Yeah, this allowing me. I will save this document as a PDF document, and I will share with Amita ma'am, and then you can go ahead with this. All right?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Students are asking what will be the timing of hands-on session. So it will be from 1:30 to 3:30 on
Yes, this
next
is
2
what
days.
is it. Yes, day one online Python codes. So, ma'am, this PDF file I will just share it with you. You can share with them. No issues. Online session will be from 1:30 to maximum 3:30. So tomorrow I request please install NumPy and Pandas so that it will be useful for you and you can go along with me. If you want, I will cover, I will touch these NumPy if you consider it is actually a complete 2-3 days session specifically on NumPy if you go in detail. So at least I will touch those, you can say libraries so that you can have little confidence for the starting of these libraries. So that is from my side actually. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, will you stop sharing your screen so that we can
Yes.
conclude today's session?
Yes. Actually, this hide share option is disabled. You can just stop my, is from your end. Is it possible? I've just stopped. Take just a second. I will stop sharing. Controls over here. So yeah. Is the screen stop?
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Hope the session was useful for students, and please post the comments, and if there is any feedback you can just post to Amita ma'am, and definitely Amita ma'am will let me know.
Yeah, surely, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very informative training session.
Right.
You provided knowledge about data science flow, why to learn Python, what are the advantages of using Python, how to install Python. You also explained some of the Python packages for machine learning, which will surely help our students. You have nicely demonstrated small codes in which students learn how to declare variables, strings, how to use a data structure like tuples, lists, dictionaries. Overall, it was very fruitful session, and
Yes.
students should take benefit of this.
Yeah, it's actually completely based on students, how much they do their coding at their end. That's it.
Yes, ma'am. There is a small announcement for students.
Yeah.
All the students have to fill the quiz and feedback form of the session in order to get the certificate. And the link for the forms will be shared on Telegram immediately after the session. Akshita ma'am, thank you once again. Looking forward to learn more about fantastic features and libraries like NumPy, Pandas, or Python in
Tomorrow
your
and day
tomorrow's
after.
session.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. With this, I conclude today's session. Thank you, everyone, for your patience listening. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
ma'am. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Everyone, take care.